Hi, my name's Susan. I'm with LaPorte County Public Library, and this is Rowan. He happens to be my son, and we are going to talk to you today about the Bluebird house that we are going to be hanging today. And we wanted to share with you this information because a lot of us are at home. It's a great time of year for bird watching, and bird watching is something you can always do from home, and you really don't need any special tools or equipment to enjoy birds. Every year, about this time of year, you'll start to hear a lot of birds, and you'll probably hear some birds in this video. And actually in March or April, you'll start seeing bluebirds, or at least we do at our house. And so we like to hang bluebird boxes. We had a bluebird box on this pole right here, but it kind of died, and so we got rid of it, and so now we have a new bluebird box. And so we're going to show you how we hang this bluebird box and talk to you about bluebirds a little bit. So Rowan has our bluebird box, a nesting box. I call it a box because it's a nesting box. And in the past we have built our bluebird boxes, but this bluebird box I happened to go ahead and buy this year because I was running out of time, and actually they weren't terribly expensive, so I went ahead and bought this bluebird box for about less than $20. We actually bought 2 bluebird boxes. So let's talk a little bit about some of the tools we need first if we're going to hang a bluebird box. This bluebird box I got at the hardware store in LaPorte, and I picked this up the other day. And so let's talk about the tools we need for this job. Alright, so for this job we're going to need just a few basic tools. And the first tool we need is
a tape measure.
A tape measure. Go ahead, take that. The next tool we need is
a drill, a cordless drill.
And
a bit.
A drill bit, right. A driver. Okay, and so next we need
screws.
We have some screws. So our bird boxes actually came with screws, so that was kind of handy. We didn't have to buy any. Okay, so once you've got your tools together, everything's ready to go. Bird boxes, for bluebirds especially, there's a few things you want to think about before you hang your bluebird box. So bluebirds like an open area. So they want to have a nest box that is located in an area where they can find food. And the food that they like to eat are insects and worms and flying insects. And so we happen to be here near our home, and the pasture fence that is just now turning green. And this fence post is where we have had a bluebird box in the past and had bluebirds have successful young that they've raised here. So we're going to hang this here, but there's other places, other things you could hang a bluebird box. Actually, a fence post isn't the ideal place. A metal pole is more an ideal pole to hang your bluebird box on, but this is what we have here at our house. And so we're going to go ahead and hang our bluebird box on the fence post where we've had one before and known that bluebirds will come. You want to hang your bluebird box in an open area where there's pasture. You might want to have your bluebird box near, maybe like within 50 feet of a tree, but you don't want to hang your bluebird box next to a bunch of shrubs or bushes or anything that predators could climb up in and get into your bluebird box. So this one here is in a good location because there's a lot of open field here for them to find things to eat. We also have some animals here. We have horses here, and what comes with horses would be some flies in the summer, and so that also gives them more things to eat. We get a lot of barn swallows too, of course, with that. So they have good food. They have an open pasture, grassy area. There's not a lot of trees. It's fairly safe from predators, and so this makes this a pretty good location and a successful location for bluebirds to fledge their young. Okay, so we used our tape measure to measure the bottom, up to the bottom of the bluebird house. And so when you hang your bluebird house nesting box, you want it to be 5 feet off the ground, approximately 5 feet off the ground. You know, nature isn't perfect, and so you hang your bluebird box to as close to the specifications that a bluebird house can be. So we have our drill, we've measured up, we used our tape measure, and so we're going to go ahead and put our first screw in. And Rowan is holding this. One. Let me get on this one. You going to do that one?
Sure. Well, that's at an angle.
I know, you can do it. You can get it. Okay, good. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and tighten the bottom one. Up. See if I can get this strap on. So that gets our bluebird house pretty securely attached to our post. So 5 feet off the ground is the ideal height, but ours is a little under 5 feet because our fence posts aren't that tall. Some features, let's talk about a little bit of the features of our bluebird house. So the bluebird house, every year you clean out your bluebird house. So that's why it has this part you can open. Also, people who go out on bluebird trails, they check bluebirds because bluebirds are actually a threatened species. They're a native species, but they face a lot of competition from non-native bird species. So people actually go and do checks and counts of the number of bluebird chicks that get fledged out of bluebird boxes on things called bluebird trails. And actually there are some bluebird trails located here in LaPorte County. And with this video and the other information we post about bluebird house plans and bluebirds, we'll post information about where you can go. Because even though we are in a situation where we can't go to school and maybe we're at home, we can still go to parks. A lot of our parks are open, and we can always go outside and enjoy watching for birds. So we've got our bluebird house attached. We see this feature, so it's got this feature where I can clean it out, or if I can check to see if there are young in there. Generally, we leave our bluebird house alone. We watch from our house. We can see out the back of our house, and we watch for the bluebirds. And it's always fun to see the male and female bluebird come, and then later in the year to see all the babies here on the fence wire. The other things about the bluebird house is that the size of the hole of the bluebird house is very specific. So the nest box has a very specific size of hole that it has to have. And so that information will be posted online. And what that does is it keeps birds like starlings or barns, house sparrows.
Cowbirds?
Yep, cowbirds. It keeps birds who shouldn't be nesting in this nest box out of here. So this hole size is very specific to this bluebird house. Another feature, what else? What is another feature that isn't here, Rowan? Do you know? What?
A landing perch.
A landing perch, right. Bluebird nest boxes do not have a perch. Bluebirds get in and out of this bluebird nest box just fine without a perch. In fact, if you put a perch on here, it will attract birds who shouldn't come in here. So we want to make this as bluebird friendly of a home as we can by having the right size hole, a bluebird house made out of good material, so that would be untreated lumber. You can make a bluebird house out of PVC pipe of the right side. You can make a bluebird house out of plywood if you had that on hand, or you can use pine lumber. This one that we purchased is actually made out of cedar. So it should weather very nicely for many years out here in our yard.
How far away should we stay from it?
Well, how far away should we stay from our bluebird house? Well, once we know we have some bluebirds nesting here and we start to see the bluebirds, we really should leave them alone and let them live in peace, right? So we don't really come out and bother them very much. I usually will come and check the bluebird box once or twice. We'll come and sort of peek in or maybe we'll open it and just make sure that they're okay. But other than that, we have this in an area on our property where we're not walking past it all the time. We kind of leave them alone. Any other thoughts? Any other questions, Rowan?
Well, what kind of predators should we try to keep away?
Right. So we do have cats. We have 2 barn cats. So cats can be a big predator for bluebirds. So we're fortunate though. Our cats, they get food and they don't really bother our bluebirds much. But cats are a problem. Also, if you hang your bluebird box too close to brush or shrubs, snakes can be a predator for bluebirds as well. Any other questions, Rowan, that you can think of? You want to come back here, buddy? All right. Okay, so we hope you get out and enjoy some bird watching this spring. It's a beautiful spring day. The weather's going to start getting nicer and nicer, and so getting out and walking and seeing how many different kinds of birds you can see. If we get some bluebirds here, we will post some pictures. Along with this video, we're going to post information about bluebirds and maybe some activities you can do at home, some bluebird type crafts or things that you can do at home. We'll post plans on how to build your own bluebird box. Right now is the prime time to hang that bluebird box and see if you don't get some bluebirds at your house.
Should you, like, what's the type of area you should hang it in? The shade or the sun?
Well, remember, how close to a tree should we have a bluebird box?
Not very close.
Not very close. Like 50 to 100 feet away should be a tree. So we don't want trees too close to our bluebird box. So most bluebird boxes are pretty much out in the sun. It's very rare for a bluebird to nest in the woods or in a tree. Also, you don't really see bluebirds in cities. Bluebirds mostly are out in open pasture lands, fields, and that's where you'll find your bluebirds. Any other questions? No? Okay. Well, thanks a lot, everybody, for watching. Stay safe, and we'll be in touch. So this is another bluebird box that we have hung. There are some problems with this bluebird box. It is hung in a place that's kind of shady. It is hung in an area that kind of gets a lot of kids running through here, so it's not a great place. It's kind of disturbed. And also another problem with this bluebird box is, although there's no perch, our hole is a little too big. So this is one of the first bluebird boxes I ever built myself, and my hole, I didn't have the right size hole saw on mine, so my hole is a little bit too big. You can see though that birds have used it a little bit, so you can see inside here that we actually do have some nesting material in there. So we'll go ahead and clean that out. It's a good idea to kind of wear gloves and be aware which way the wind is blowing if you clean out a nest box. And you can see how we just used nails to put this bluebird box, but it's weathered pretty well. And so just wanted to share with you kind of sort of a non-ideal place for your bluebird box to be. Okay, so this is our third bluebird house we have around our property. We have had bluebirds in this one before. Now this bluebird box is it's in a pretty okay place. There are trees within a nice distance of this bluebird box. But one of the downsides of this one is that it's pretty close to the grain bins, and grain bins attract other birds that like to use this nest box. Also, this is one of the first ones I ever made too, and so this hole here is a little bit too big. So we're actually going to replace this bluebird box with our other new bluebird box we have, and then maybe we'll have a little nicer situation here for our bluebird friends. Okay, so we are going to hang the new bluebird box here. So Rowan's got the tape measure out, and he's going to go up so we can make a mark 5 feet up. So go ahead. Can you find 5 feet? There it is. Okay, so I'm just going to use this screw I have left over. Sorry, buddy. Bloopers. Okay, you okay? All right, so there's our 5 feet line. So that's going to be the bottom of our new bluebird box. So that's our second bluebird box. It's all hung. We'll go ahead and close it up. And then if we see any bluebirds here, we'll let you know.